Is it queerbaiting, queercoding, or just straight up gay? The video series where I talk about different pairings, TV shows and films that fall under these three categories. And today, we're going to talk about BBC Sherlock. Sherlock aired between the years of 2010 and 2017 on BBC and was a modern retelling of the Sherlock Holmes novels by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I was in the trenches of this fandom. I was a teenager. At the time when the show was coming out, I made edits on Tumblr. I kept up to date with all the meta. If there's a Sherlock fanfiction, I most probably have read it. Alone on the Water, that was my bitch, okay? If you know, you know. And I will obviously be focusing on the ship of John Locke, the relationship between Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. Let's just get straight into it, shall we? In the first episode, John and Sherlock haven't known each other for a while, and they're at a restaurant in the middle of a case. John is then asking Sherlock, does he have a girlfriend? To which Sherlock goes, girlfriend, no, not really my area. John goes, do you have a boyfriend? They gaze at each other for a moment. And then John goes, which is fine, by the way. Sherlock, I know it's fine. John, so you've got a boyfriend? Sherlock, no. John, right, okay. Then he licks his lips and says, you're unattached, just like me. They're silent for a moment. Sherlock's there going, And then he says to him, John, I consider myself married to my work. While I'm flattered by your interest, I'm really not looking for anything. Let's get into this, shall we? Sherlock says, girlfriend, no, not my area, meaning I'm not interested in girls, but he does not say the same thing when it comes to boyfriends. And Sherlock Holmes, the man who can deduce anything, sees everything, immediately assumes that John Watson is asking him out. Jesus Christ. The relationship between Sherlock and John is so domestic. They're like a married couple where Sherlock keeps John excited, gives him life, and John keeps Sherlock grounded, keeps him in check. They're a perfect balance to each other. Sherlock is very much like, I don't have friends. That is not what I do. Like, feelings, no way. Apart from when it comes to John. John is his number one person. And from season 1 to season 2, John is trying to get a girlfriend, right? He's constantly going on dates. He cannot keep a girlfriend, though, because he's always running back to Sherlock and making Sherlock his priority. It's only when he thinks that Sherlock is dead that he gets into a relationship because Sherlock's not there for him to run back to. Also, everyone always assumes that these two are boyfriends and that they're in a relationship. Like, if I had £1 for every time someone assumed that John Watson was gay and then John Watson goes, I'm not gay, I would be a rich man. I would be a rich man. But I would like to take a focus in one episode in particular, and that episode is A Scandal in Belgravia, aka a crime against the queer community and a study in jealous John Watson. This episode features the character of Irene Adler, a dominatrix and someone who the writers made a lesbian. There is one scene in this episode where Irene and John are at an abandoned warehouse after John and Sherlock thinking that Irene is dead. She's faked her own death, right? John is furious at Irene because he thinks that Sherlock is absolutely heartbroken over the death of Irene Adler. He's there demanding Irene to tell him she's alive. Irene has been texting Sherlock for a while, very flirtatious texts. John can't stand it. And he goes, once she starts reading off these texts, he goes, you flirted with Sherlock Holmes? She then goes, why? You jealous? He goes, we're not a couple. And she tells him, yes, you are. Then we get John going, I'm not gay. And Irene says back to him, well, I am. But look at us both. What the fuck? It's then revealed at the end of the episode that, yeah, Irene has fallen in love with Sherlock. And not only did they create a character who is a lesbian who falls in love with a man, what they did was they went, well, if this lesbian can fall in love with a man, then this straight man can fall in love with this same man, right? To which nothing ever happens. That just doesn't get resolved. It's just left there. It's just left there. There is another moment I'd like to feature, which is at the end of season 3. Sherlock's just about to get on a plane to never see John again. Very much Casablanca style, right? This is what he says to him. John, there's something I should say. I meant to say it always and never have. Since it's unlikely we'll ever meet again, I might as well say it now. Sherlock is actually a girl's name. This line will go into the hall of baiting quotes alongside Reiki, my love of skateboarding, and no, not friends, best friends. And then with the last episode of Sherlock, you know, John and Sherlock are there raising John's child, and it's left as that. But it ended so badly that people thought that there was going to be a secret last episode. I wonder what that sounds like. I would like to take a moment to say I was a teenager watching this show, absolutely obsessed with it and the dynamic between John and Sherlock. And at this time, I was coming to terms with my own sexuality and feeling like I was disgusting, like there was something wrong with me. And in my head, it was, if John and Sherlock could be together and it not be a joke, then it would prove that I have a chance, that there's nothing wrong with me, that it's actually normal. The way that this show handled their relationship was so harmful, so humiliating. I honestly just want to take a moment to say fuck you to Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss. Fuck you. People have been shipping the relationship between Sherlock and John for hundreds of years now, and yet we are still waiting to see an adaptation on the big screen of these two being a canon couple. So for my final verdict of whether Sherlock is queerbaiting, queercoding, or just straight up gay, BBC Sherlock is queerbaiting. In my mind, it is the worst case of queerbaiting we have ever seen. I feel personally victimised by it. Yeah, so not only will they be going to queerbait in jail, they will be serving a life sentence on death row. How dare you?